Creating compelling photographs does not have to be about the rules. I choose to inspire and support the photographic community by passing on my knowledge, passion and skills. Coming up, creating visual balance and using triangles to compose better photographs, and a bonus mini presentation and the final fully edited photographs at the end. As always, comment, like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Well, it's a bit blustery and windy today, so I hope that you can all hear me. We've come up to a place called Nuns Cross Farm on the Northmore National Park. The idea is to really sort of explain to you a little bit about composition and how I sort of think about pictures in the, how I think about my compositions when I'm up on Dartmoor and the type of things that I'm doing. So I thought this would be a good place to go because it's got a lot of different interest in the frame. It's got a lot of things here that we can think about and that we can concentrate on. So we've got a lot of foreground interest. We've got some good things like this gate post that we can use for texture. We've got walls that we can use for leading lines. And of course, we've got the great subject behind us and some trees and things as well. So I'm going to look around and take some different pictures with the camera. And this is generally how I work when I'm out thinking about my composition. I'm not really interested in putting the tripod up yet. I just want to take some different pictures with the camera, have a look around and get an idea on what it is I'm actually looking at and what I can work with. So the type of things I'll do is I'll just get in nice and low with the camera like this and then compose a few pictures and just see how it works out and what I can actually do. And we've got some really bright light on here at the moment. It's really quite contrasty and a little bit sort of high contrast. So we're going to have to see how that works out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sort of set up my composition. I'm going to take a few pictures and when I've got some compositions that I like, I'm going to get back with you guys again and actually show you what it is I like and explain the composition to you and why I've done it in that way and the things I was looking at and what I was talking about. And I've got a strong feeling it's going to be a black and white day. So let's crack on and have a look and see what we can do. Okay, so I've set the camera up now and I've sort of been working on my first composition. Now the way that I've done it is I've tried to arrange things not particularly thinking about any of the rules. So there's the rule of thirds, the golden ratio, and lots of different other rules that you can use in composition. Now I use them as a very good starting point and they're a framework around which I work, but I don't rely on them. I tend to work on the theory that what's in the frame and what looks good in the frame is the best thing to be working with. So something that looks good, that's what I tend to use. So what I was finding when I was looking through the viewfinder, and I'll try and put an example picture of this up in a minute for you so you can see it, is that originally I had everything composed too much on one side of the frame and this wall down here leading us away out of the composition. But what I've tried to set up now, just to try and make it a little bit better, is to put the fence on one side of the frame, so this gate post, with the house and the tree on the other. Now what that tends to do, it adds a little bit of visual weight to it. So you've got the house on one side of the frame and the gate on the other. And those two together then sort of even things up and work a lot better than what they were before. The tree in the middle forms as another focal point really. It sort of draws your eye in. And you've got this nice triangle between these points, between the gate, the tree and back to the house or the other way around. And also in the foreground we've got some very strong lighting coming this way, so this wall and this gate are really lit up quite well. So what I've done is I've actually had to bracket my exposure a little bit and just make sure that I've got those just make sure I've got everything recorded in the frame. So if I need to, we're locked down nice and hard on the tripod so we can always combine some exposures inside of Photoshop if we need to. Let me just tell you what those camera settings are before I look for my next composition. Okay, so we've shot the first picture. So we've taken the pictures at f11. 1/40th of a second, which is just a little bit overexposed in the sky. So we've gone down a stop to 1/80th of a second, and then we've given another one at 1/60th of a second, and we'll just see what we need to use on the sky. But they've all been taken at f11. And when I focused on it, I focused, if you can see it here, right here on the gate post itself, and that just sort of just made sure that that we've got everything in focus. And F11 right the way back through is going to be absolutely fine. So I'm going to look for another composition. I've got another idea where we can use some leading lines and some other elements that I scoped out earlier on. So I'm going to have a look at that, and if it works out, then we're going to show you that one as well. Right, okay, so second composition. This picture is about triangles, okay? So there's different shapes and things that you can use in your compositions when you're in the landscape as well. And you need to kind of look for these things when you're out. Just don't think about, like I said, about the rules, rule of thirds and everything else. Think about shapes and interlocking shapes and patterns and lines that match up and create some interest for you. So what I've got here is I've got little triangles. So I've got this post here in the landscape at the moment. So this is in the foreground, and then in behind it, it leads across to the wall in the background. And we've got a wall sweeping up that way and also a wall going down that way. So we've got that nice sort of like triangular shape there. We've also got a triangle sort of inside there as well by the houses. And of course on the house itself, we've got the triangle on top of the door and the triangle at the back of on the gable end of the house. So I've tried to get all these things in that one picture, because doing it that way, we've got all these different sort of complementary shapes that we like as well. And that's something else that I do as well. As you can see, it's still very, very bright, very, very bright. So we can use that brightness to bring out those textures on those stone walls and those rocks. And we'll do that. We'll do that in processing. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the sky, because there's a little bit of cloud building up, but it's quite bland at the moment. So it might be a very graphic image, but I won't know until I actually come to process it and how I feel about it at that stage. Because out in the field, the taking stage is only part of it. It's not the be all and end all. There's another bit that we can do. We can go a little bit further, and we can try and bring some more interest into it and bring some more feeling out when we're here. So the things that I'm feeling at the moment, I'm seeing and I'm liking these interlocking shapes. I'm feeling the effect of the strong sunlight burning through. I can feel that on the side of my face. I hope I'm not overexposed. And also the way that that's bringing out the textures and the details and the difference between the grasses and the stonework and the granite. So we're going to try and consider those things when we process our image as well. So I'm going to take these pictures now. Right, okay, so let's get this picture taken. So we are going to shoot, as usual. I'm going to take probably 2 or 3 pictures, bracket in the exposure so I can get some of that detail back in the sky later on if I want it. So we're going to zoom in, and what we'll do is we'll zoom in on that just to make sure that we know where we are. And we're going to focus on that wall. Lovely, that's pin sharp on that wall. And then we've got the 2-second exposure on. At the moment we're 1 stop overexposed. We're shooting at F16, 13th of a second, 2-second timer. And we know that's going to come out overexposed, which is fine, because that's what we're expecting. So we're going to take another one, F16, 20th of a second. That should be spot on for exposure. And we're going to take another one, a stop underexposed. And then, in fact, the light's changing just as I'm doing it. So we might take that set again, to be honest. So yeah, forgive me whilst I take a set of pictures whilst the light changes on me. Okay, so there it is. Little chink in the light coming through. Not a lot. It's not a lot. It really isn't. F16, 5th of a second. Come on, a little bit more light. It just might be that the ones I've taken of what I've got. It's just not happening. Okay, well that seems to be it by the looks of it. It looks like we're not going to get any more light come out on the frame on the picture, which is a little bit of a shame, because it would have been nice to actually manage to taken a few more images and just have some more in the bag, but we're not going to get them. It's not the end of the world. We have got some pictures of here already, so I should have enough to sort of put something together for you and explain what we're going to do. So nothing more for me to do apart from pack up, have a quick bite to eat as I'm walking back, maybe a quick drink if I got time, and then I'm going to start editing these pictures and we'll take it from there. So at the beginning of the video I promised I would be putting a bonus part at the end where I would go back through the composition. And the reason for this was that when I did the editing, I discovered even more interconnecting triangles and even more things that I wanted to show you. I also put a slight crop on at the end, and I just want to explain why I did that. So if we go back to the original picture and just reiterate and go back over the things that we mentioned. So in this first setup that I've put on the screen, we can see the original triangle. We've got the post down in the foreground, and we've got the wall leading to the left and to the right, and then intersect but going back across in front of the building itself. So that gives us the first triangle that we saw in the frame. There is of course also a second triangle which is just inside the wall. So if we look just inside there, there's a second triangle inside. So we've got layers of triangles, one on top of the other. And it doesn't end there, does it? Because in the video we pointed out that there was also a triangle in the house itself above the door, and the door is so white and bright it's quite a major thing that draws your eye into that point. We've also got the triangle on the gable end of the building, and I don't think I mentioned it in the video, but we've also got the tree. The tree is also a triangle as well. So if we put all these elements back in together in one picture, we can see that actually there's a lot of going on and there's a lot of repetition in the geometric shapes that we've got in this composition. Also, sticking with triangles, the three main elements I see in the picture which add strength are the boulder in the foreground, the door, and also back to the tree as well. And those 3 points form a triangle. And it's also known not only throughout photography but throughout painting, drawing, any kind of art that you think of, is that 3 elements in a composition is very powerful. 2, 4, not so good. In fact, in general, odd numbers are better in compositions. And we can take it even further, because if we put everything back on the screen at once, we start to see actually how many triangles we've got working together in this picture. But there was something else that I noticed as well. If you actually look at the main elements in the frame itself, they're almost joined together by 2 back-to-back triangles, which gives us some balance to the composition. But there is an area of the composition which I felt that wasn't particularly balanced. And I want you to think back to the beginning of the video where we were talking about the visual weight of a composition, of how things can be too much on one side of the frame and not on the other. And I think by drawing the lines on this picture, if you look at it now, you can immediately see that all the interest and all the weight is on the left-hand side. Now in some pictures, if it's all about using that negative space, and that space itself is very heavy and dominating in the picture and balanced by something on the left-hand or the right-hand side, it can work really well. But I think in this case, the space on the right-hand side does nothing to the picture, it adds nothing. And it makes the image feel a little bit weaker and a little bit misbalanced. So in the final picture, which I'm going to put up now, I've cropped that right hand side off. I've taken it away just up to where you can see that puddle just coming out between those grasses. And I think that just is enough there then just to restore the visual sort of balance to the image. And what I want you to take away from this as well is not once have I mentioned the rule of thirds, or the golden ratio, or any other compositional tools. It's all just about arranging things in the frame, looking for balance, looking for harmony, and trying to make the best of what you've got in front of you. I'll put the final image up now so you can see it. you're enjoying the video. Maybe you would like to carry on, so try these suggestions next. I want to share more knowledge, more skills, more passion and stories about photography with you. So think about subscribing. If you do, ring the bell. It will make your subscription count. If you have time, comment. I will see you on the next video. So get out there and enjoy your photography.